planning on stealing something?
No, ma'am, we're not.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No.
Where do you get off?
Just a couple of people who totally got off, bro.
Hey, show us your basement.
What? No.
Welcome to a new episode of Show Us Your Basement. I am your host, Alberto, joined with Josh and Eric. We're missing a member of the Show Us Your Basement podcast, but that's okay. Edgar will join us on a future episode. Had some stuff to do, so it's going to be kind of a similar setup with Poor Man Sports. If you listen to that. Eric, where can they hear that podcast?
Right now on YouTube, it's very small, upstart. I think we're going to try some things we primarily talk about football, but you can find us on YouTube. We record it, but I think as time progresses, we'll evolve a little bit, see how that goes. But right now, just YouTube. And we do record it just like this, how we're doing almost this exact format. So
Right. Okay. And you can also follow us on our socials for Show Us Your Basement. That's exactly what it is, the handle for it on TikTok, Instagram, Show Us Your Basement. Thank you guys for the support. Please like, share, subscribe with your friends, especially your nerdy friends. And we're going to have some fun on this episode. We're going to do something a little different than we normally do. Still kind of in line with what we usually do for Show Us Your Basement. Each of us has come to this conversation with a controversial topic, a basement take, or a greatness take, as we like to say. This is the first time we're saying it, but still. Let's get into it. Let's jump right into it. Josh, do you want to go first? You want me to go first? I know Eric is still kind of cooking up his take. Where would you want to go with this?
I can go first, if you don't mind.
By all means.
Yes.
Let's stir the pot.
I want to ride the coattails of our last recording. We talked about the Dark Knight trilogy is basement.
Okay.
And then Sam Raimi's Spider-Man's trilogy is greatness. My opinion, Alberto's opinion as well. Eric says I think they were both basement, if I remember.
Both basement?
yes, that's correct.
I want to continue the conversation of trilogies. We've talked about this before, but not in a broader aspect. We talked about one of the three movies. But I'm just going to flat out tell you guys, Zack Snyder's trilogy is greatness.
Can you highlight which films exactly are in the trilogy?
Man of Steel.
Right.
Okay.
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, The Ultimate Cut, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. I want to talk about those three movies and why they are greatness.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What are your thoughts on that, Alberto? Let that sink, because you and I have had heated back and forth conversations about this. I know you have a very strong opinion about it. I have a very strong opinion of it. I'm known as the Zack Snyder lover, and I'm continuing this Zack Snyder love.
Look,
moment.
man, I thought we were over this, talking about Zack Snyder. I guess not. This is going to be like a recurring theme on Show Us Your Basement. For those who followed us from our last podcast. We debated, we debated Batman v Superman. I was like I think that was the first episode we did with you, right, Josh? Or one of the very early ones?
One of the early ones, yeah. Absolutely. Before Eric joined. Absolutely.
Very heated, that discussion. And I got to say, my opinion still stands on Batman v Superman. Have not seen Man of Steel in a while, so I can't really speak to that. And Justice League is just, is it better? Obviously, it's better than Joss Whedon's cut. I don't know if these three movies are enough for me to say that it's greatness, though. I'm gonna have to disagree with that take. And I think you already saw that coming, right? I mean,
I saw it coming. Absolutely,
so
absolutely. But let's talk. I want to talk about why it's greatness, and I want to hear why you think it's basement. But before we do, Eric, what are you? Where are you at in the Zack Snyder trilogy?
where are you
Before
with
we
Zack
kind of
Snyder in
dive.
general with DC? I want to know that.
I agree with Josh on this one. Now,
Really?
I think Justice League. I think the way Justice League was released. I'm going to jump to the third one, the third installment, but I think the way it was released, the theatrical version versus the Snyder cut, definitely impacted the sustainability of Zack Snyder's universe continuing on and growing and expanding into something that could have been really great. I thought Man of Steel was greatness, not even close. Loved what I liked Henry Cavill personally. He seems to be an interesting actor. He seems to always get involved in shows or movies, and then he wants to back out. Doesn't want to shave his mustache. He sounds like a diva. Okay, something's going on. Because remember, he was in that show, The Witcher, and I think it was pretty popular. And then something happened where he didn't do it anymore. I didn't have dived into it, but
I believe it was
his,
creative differences with that one. I think.
right, but it was he was not going to continue the role, and it basically fucked the show, right?
Well, it
I think
also
it kind of happened.
around that time, I think he was being offered to return as Superman when The Rock was helming the DCU. And then when that fell through, obviously he couldn't go back to do The Witcher. So I think he kind of chose to be, to move away from The Witcher to do the Superman thing again.
Yeah,
I think it was just bad timing, with that.
bad timing. It was just all bad timing. I love Man of Steel. I really like Zack Snyder. I loved that movie. I thought it had a great cast. I loved Michael Shannon playing as General Zod. I thought he was really good. I mean, that was kind of that's an old school character that's kind of forgotten. Nobody really cared about him, and I think they really embodied a great villain to match him. And it was a great way to start that series. Like, I always go to the villain. You guys know how I am. I'm big on like how is the villain going to coexist with the superhero, and that's a big part of how I think the movie transitions into either basement or greatness. I thought Michael Shannon's role was phenomenal because he kind of was like, he was a villain, but he had some sympathy by kind of explaining to the other, what were they called? What's their race referred to as? I keep forgetting. It's like a slip of my tongue. The Kryptonians. The Kryptonians, he was trying to explain to the other surviving Kryptonians that he's not accustomed to their ways. Don't take him being like basically raised as a human as in an insult because he didn't understand like the like when they greeted him, he didn't understand how to greet them, and they were like felt really disrespected, and he's like, no, he's not accustomed to our ways. So he kind of was like trying to play like this. Hey, you are us. We're here to, we're the same. We're coming from the same place. Like, but obviously, that's not how it worked out. It ended up being like a very great ending fight. Loved the fighting at the end, the battle between them, even though they were roasting the planet. But it was just the way they displayed the power of their abilities, I thought was great. And I know for some it was like, well, they're too powerful, but I really liked it. And then going into Batman vs Superman, look, if you read The Dark Knight Returns, there was so many things they did well. Josh has brought this up. The Batman costume was spot on. The build-up fight between Superman and Batman was phenomenal. It was emotional. It was. They even got the armored suit accurate to the comic book, to the source material, the way it looked. They really embodied like Batman finding a way to kind of overcome him being just a human to combat like these super humans, right? And I really did like the fight with Doomsday. I thought it was great, though the transition to Doomsday was a little weird with like Jesse Eisenberg's character. I think Jesse Eisenberg's a great actor, not the greatest Lex Luthor, unfortunately. So that was kind of bad, but it wasn't so bad. I think there were things that were still done really well. I thought Gal Gadot was a really good Wonder Woman. And in the Justice League, this is kind of where it maybe fell off a little bit because they just didn't utilize. They really needed to use Darkseid more, or like kind of the way they utilized him in the Snyder cut. That's what we should have seen originally. But I'm with Josh. Like I just thought that there was so much potential there, and so because those first two were great and the last one was maybe not so much, it wasn't enough for me to put that in basement. So I'm with Josh. I'm going to go greatness. Thought the acting was great, casting was great. I thought they did a pretty good job with the source material in many ways. You can't be perfect with it. You can't, but definitely a darker tone, more adult, and I gravitated to that. But I think it wasn't as youthful friendly, which I think hurt them, and that's why you're seeing a transition now to now everything that they're making with the Superman side of it and the Supergirl. You can tell it's a lot more geared towards a much broader audience, and I think they'll be a little bit more successful doing it that way. We'll see, but they're going to reach more people. So, yeah, great villains, great characters. Thought it was great.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Eric, because my biggest beef, okay, with the Zack Snyder trilogy is that why there was so much hate. I think there's a couple reasons. I think the first reason is the MCU did it right. They had established their characters, right, from Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and so forth, really well. So they were obviously forced into a position where they wanted to rush a lot of this in. But my main beef is that in these movies, a lot of the complaints that you hear from these so-called DC fans is those aren't my characters. That's not my Superman. That's not my Batman.
Yep.
This is an interpretation that pulls elements in comic books. So of course it's not going to be your Superman. I can't even say that James Gunn's Superman is my Superman.
Yep. Agreed.
You know, Iron Man was not my Iron Man from what I read in the comic books. It's a interpretation that is given by the director, right? And if you actually dive in and if you look at what he was going for, you actually appreciate it a lot more. So I do understand that, like in Man of Steel, the biggest issue is that he was down, he was negative, he was a crybaby, whatever you want to call it. But the whole point of Man of Steel was Kal-El, Clark Kent, trying to find his identity in the world, in who he really is, from when he was a child, you know, to when he grows up to be an adult and becomes Superman. And a lot of people actually don't see that, but I can tell you that the people that do see it, that's why there's that strong fan base and why people gravitate back to the Snyderverse because of it, you know, because he's put in a position where he's in Earth, he has these powers, and he's protected by his parents because of his parents fearful that the government's going to go after him. You know, they're going to take him away. They don't know what he's going to do. You know, which to me is a legitimate parent. You know, and another thing that I appreciate what Zack Snyder does is he's very daring in a lot of ways and to create conversations. I'm going to do this so that people will not just talk about it for the next 6 months, but people are going to talk about it for years. And to this date, people are still talking about it. You know, to allowing his father die in the tornado. Okay, another interpretation. He could have gone the easy way out, and he could have died from a heart attack. He didn't go that route. Okay, snapping Zod's neck. Batman v Superman. Batman killing his villains and marking them. I'm actually okay with that. Everyone talks about that one rule, that one rule, that one rule. But I think if Batman is pushed over the edge, I can see Ben Affleck's Batman. And we're kind of getting that in Absolute Batman as well.
Yep.
I know I haven't read a lot of it, but there you go. You know, I would say Scott Snyder in some aspects may respect what Zack Snyder did.
Is it because they share the same last name?
Well. Possibly, I don't know. They're related in some way. I would also say that Batman v Superman has probably the greatest intro to a comic book movie.
Wait, hold on.
Period.
Batman v Superman?
Batman v Superman also has the greatest intro.
What's the intro? I forgot.
That's when you see everything from Bruce Wayne's perspective when he's going to Metropolis and he's driving, and he saves that little girl, and he sees like everything from his perspective, what's going on between Superman and Zod.
Hmm.
And then at that end, he has that glare, like, I need to stop this man or this alien, right?
Yep.
One
It
of
builds
the
the rivalry.
greatest scenes. And if you actually watch the two scenes, the actual Man of Steel version and the Batman v Superman version, side by side, they are identical in every way, which is extremely impressive to do. And then Zack Snyder's Justice League. Okay, yes, it's 4 hours long. Yes, it's a monster of a movie, but he does such a good job actually putting in these characters and making them important and making you feel for them. Cyborg, great character base in that movie. From when he becomes Cyborg, from when he's on the football field, to getting into the car accident, to witnessing his father joining the Justice League, to witnessing his father getting killed. You love that. The Flash, okay? When they introduce him, one of the best slow-mo scenes of all time, I would say. It's up there. It's a great scene. It's beautifully well shot. Okay? And I would also say that, to me, Zack Snyder's Justice League is probably top 5 greatest comic book movies of all time.
Interesting.
So don't want to dive too much into it, but that's kind of my thought process when I'm thinking about it. What I dislike, and then what I do like. I will also say these movies did, especially Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, even though they may not have been critically praised, they made a shit ton of money. And that is not the reason why they couldn't continue it, right?
Yeah.
Money cures all. Sales cures all. That's what they say. But it's just people were complaining. They wanted an MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the one thing, and you guys know it's well documented, I'm not a huge fan of the MCU, but what I will say about the MCU is that they mapped out their entire legacy with those movies so much more thoroughly, so much better planned out. The way they connected every movie and released them, they just did a better job at that. And I think they did so well at that. DC didn't really have much of a chance, They were up against a juggernaut at that point, and I think they just didn't. The expectation, MCU set this expectation that was pretty much like it still stands.
Right.
DC
and I think
like scrambling around to figure it out.
What he was supposed to do.
I agree.
Amount of time. He executed.
I agree. I'm saying, like, I think part of their failure was because the MCU just had it so much better. It was just so much. The planning was just so much better, And they had all-star. They had a
better reputation,
right? And they had an all-star cast, dude. Even though it was like goofy to me, like. But yeah, I'm with you, Josh. I think for what he was doing, for what he had to do, and what he was asked to do, I thought he did a really great job.
Berto, you're shaking your head, man. You've been very quiet.
Because I'm letting you get this all out because this is gonna be the last time we'll talk about Zack Snyder.
In order for me to get more out, I got to hear from you as well.
No, look, I agree with a lot of what you were saying. I do think that the cards are really stacked against Zack Snyder making these movies. I think Warner Brothers and DC were expecting a lot out of Zack Snyder. Eric, you were saying that like doesn't have to, we can't, everything can't be perfect. You know, with this trilogy, I would argue everything had to be perfect if they wanted to compete with the MCU. Now looking back in retrospect, obviously a lot of people liked, you know, this trilogy a lot more than initially when it launched or released, whatever. My thing with these three films, and I'm not going to speak too much about Man of Steel because I don't think I'd be able to do it too much justice because I haven't seen it in a while. My problem with these films is that it's just too bloated, man. It's way too fucking bloated. The pacing is not. It's not great, especially with Batman v Superman. That is like pulling teeth to watch that movie. I know Josh, you mentioned like the Ultimate Edition, right? Or the director's cut of Batman v Superman. I'm not sitting through all that. If I didn't like it the first cut around, I'm not going to watch it through the second cut around. And we've talked about Batman v Superman, so I'm not going to speak too much on why I didn't like that. I just feel like it's a fucking mess. I don't think Zack Snyder understood some of the characters, including Lex Luthor. I think that was a terrible.
Is that fair to say though?
It's
Is
fair
that
to say. It's fair.
You're taking when you're taking a character and then making them your own. You know, as a director, you're painting a picture. You're creating art.
I'm gonna actually make a comparison here to a movie that actually recently released, and why it fucking bombed so badly because it didn't follow the source material to a T. Return to Silent Hill was an awful piece of shit that I actually went to go see in theaters, and I'm a massive fan of the second game, and a lot of fans would agree that the director's interpretation of the characters was awful. A lot of them were saying like just stick to the source material. It wouldn't have been as good, but it would have been better than what we got. And I think if Zack Snyder just adapted the source material, even if it wasn't a 1-to-1, if it wasn't perfect, it would have been better than the interpretation we did get. So
you don't think he interpreted it to an extent?
Elements, yes. I will give you that. Elements for sure were interpreted well, but I don't think it was strong enough to. What was that?
Interpret Superman really well?
Do you see that interpretation as? I don't know, man. Is that good? Like a good interpretation?
That was a pretty weak Superman.
Well, James Gunn's?
Pretty weak. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Zack. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Zack. James Gunn's. I mean, but he was touching on on the more human side, right, of Superman in this movie. Is that fair to say?
Sure, he was trying to humanize him.
Yeah, which is something that. But it's something that has been lacking in the other movies. You can. You can. I feel like you definitely can. I think you just have this obsession, Josh, with seeing a lot of the DC characters as gods, and the parallels to that, like just how Zack Snyder describes them. And I just don't mess with that as much as a lot of people do. I just kind of like the more.
So when you open up when you open up a comic book, a DC comic book,
yeah,
do they not establish these characters larger than life? You're telling me when you, like, we'll say Batman, for example,
okay,
because we've all read The Long Halloween. Okay, when they're in the sewers, Commissioner Gordon hasn't seen Batman for a very long time, and he finally sees him because he feels that fault for what had happened to Harvey Dent. He blames himself, so he's kind of like working in the shadows and stuff like that. And then when he confronts the killer, Falcone's son, for the first time, Alberto or Albert, is it? What's his name?
Yeah, it's Albert.
Calendar Man.
Albert, I think.
How convenient. But anyways, and then they show Batman for the first time, and he's just this monster of a being standing over him. Why did Tim Sell and Jeff Loeb do that? Because they're larger than life. These characters are fucking monsters of men. Okay?
Right.
That's what you get out of these DC comic books,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So
I don't
that's why I'm.
I don't look. I think maybe I should pick my words carefully here. It's not that I don't see that from Zack Snyder's vision. It's just not something I resonate with. I definitely see that there's an interpretation of those characters where they're larger than life, but the kind of superhero characters I like from DC, and if we're talking about the movies, I like the ones that are a bit more grounded, you know, or more than like what James Gunn's doing with Superman, humanizing him a bit more. The Batman with Matt Reeves doing a little bit more
Dark
kind
Knight.
of stuff like that. That's just kind of what I
The Basement, the Dark Knight trilogy, which is Basement. Go ahead.
the Dark Knight trilogy, yes, but not Dark Knight. We've agreed that Dark Knight is pretty good. So, but look, it all boils down to me. Just the pacing is just awful for these three movies. They're too fucking long. There's too many cuts. There's too many Zack Snyder cuts. There's just and I just don't. I don't empathize for the characters as much as you do, Josh. I just didn't see the vision, and there's a reason why Zack Snyder isn't directing these new films, because he just didn't have enough time to fulfill that vision. And in that little time that he did, I don't think he did a good enough job for me to say that his trilogy was greatness. It's still Basement. Especially that second film. That second film really, really fucking kills it, dude. Do we not remember the scene with Lex Luthor and the fucking Jolly Ranchers? How he like almost seductively just puts one in that guy's mouth? Do we not remember that? How awful that fucking scene was?
He
Doomsday.
wasn't mentally stable.
Doomsday was a throwaway fucking character. You want to talk about one of the best villains in DC and they fuck him up in one movie?
Yeah, you also want to talk about several villains in the MCU that are thrown away, but for whatever reason,
we're not talking about Marvel, are we?
I'm just saying, like, right? How is that any different? So throwaway characters are throwaway characters. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, but that Trinity shot,
Not nearly as memorable
amazing.
as the end game with all the Avengers.
The warehouse scene, amazing.
And where do they have to adapt that from? Not comic books.
It was Arkham Knight. Yeah.
Arkham City. Okay.
Or Arkham City. Yeah.
Arkham City, Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum. Those games are goated by the way. Just throwing that out there. But look,
Hey.
we're not gonna
As well.
we're not gonna talk too much on it. I still think it's Basement. You guys, look, I'm happy for you that you think this is a trilogy, a greatness trilogy. I just don't agree. I don't see it. So I just don't see it.
Alberto, you will forever disappoint me. You know, a fan of DC, and you can't appreciate Zack Snyder, trilogy. It just
can't.
baffles me.
I can't.
You know,
Nope. And I don't think I ever will. So, and I'm okay with it. So, let's move on.
I'm okay with it too.
You want me to go next?
Yeah, you can go next.
All right. This one is away from movies. This was actually something that Josh and I talked about previously about making this an episode for Show Us Your Basement. It has to do with video games. Josh, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I think, in terms of all the fighting games, Tekken is the best out of all of them. Better than Mortal Kombat, and it's better than Street Fighter. Tekken is greatness, is what I'll say. The entire series as a whole. Better than those two other ones. Especially Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's fucking trash. That's my hot take. The pot has been stirred. Eric, what are your immediate thoughts? Do you know these games? Do you play them enough to agree, disagree?
You know, this is going to be a little bit out of my range here with the Tekken and would you say Street Fighter?
Yeah, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
I'm a little bit more familiar playing Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat for sure, not Tekken as much. There's not much I have to offer
In terms of an
in this
input.
regard. Yes,
Okay.
I would say between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, I'm going Mortal Kombat all day.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is something we can talk about. Why? Because I don't see.
I think Mortal Kombat's always been very. I feel like that those games make like a statement for a fighting game when it comes down to the way they deliver the fighting and the violence and the finishing moves, the fatalities. I guess I should say the fatalities. These games, Mortal Kombat requires a lot more skill, I think, to play over Street Fighter. Like it becomes so much more as the games evolved. They became so like dynamic with multiple moves and how you utilize them, and there's just a lot more skill, I think, that's involved
Right.
with Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. I know they all require a level of skill for sure, but I don't know Tekken enough, so I can't really comment on that.
Damn. I mean, the fact that you still think that Mortal Kombat is better than Street Fighter, I can't agree with that. I mean, Josh, I think you and I have talked about this before. I think
Mortal Kombat has some of the most iconic characters you can think of. I can't think of iconic Tekken characters, or I know Street Fighter's got some iconic characters, but it feels like Mortal Kombat just has like, you think of like two characters with Mortal Kombat right off the bat, the most recognizable. You have Scorpion
Yeah.
and you have Sub-Zero. Like I feel like
Yeah.
everybody can identify those two characters. I don't think people can identify people from Tekken that often, like on a broader scale. When you look at like a huge scale from people that play the games,
Yeah.
people that are just kind of familiar with the games, they know who Scorpion and Sub-Zero are. There's no question about that. None whatsoever. I almost think that those two characters almost make it impossible to make films out of, because people want to see them and they don't. There's this balance of like, how do we deliver these characters without fucking them up? And are they the main characters? Usually not. I think the more recent Mortal Kombat film has kind of identified them as maybe more primary characters, but those are just like, you think of fighting games and you think of those two, and I think people can identify that more than Street Fighter and Tekken.
for me, I feel like
For sure.
in terms of iconography, yes, Mortal Kombat I think is a much more recognizable franchise than Street Fighter or Tekken.
Which would make it what? Why do you think then that would make it what?
Why would it make Mortal Kombat Basement
No, it would make it significantly more popular.
more popular but not better? There's a difference.
Okay, but I
Yeah.
think there might be, but there's success behind what they do.
There's
Mortal
definitely
Mortal
success.
Kombat
Yes, I
game, but
agree.
there's a success factor, and so
Yeah.
you could play into, well, more people play it because more people like it because it's greater.
See, that's where I disagree, because and look, I'm speaking from a perspective of someone who's played a lot of these games. Maybe not as much as Street Fighter, but Mortal Kombat. I think it took me a long time for me to realize how Mortal Kombat doesn't really bring anything to the table other than fatalities. There's really not like
That's
a
what
good.
people live for. That's what they live
Yeah,
for.
but that's really one
That's why they
note.
play the
That's
game.
very one note, and I think that's the problem with Mortal Kombat. Is it's just one
You
note.
need to be complicated. That's all you need.
Super
You-
Smash
you
Bros is not
live-
complicated, and that's more popular than Mortal Kombat. I would agree. So
But you're not talking about Super
no, I'm
Smash
not,
Brothers.
but
That's not in this conversation.
we're also not talking about popularity. We're talking about
Tekken,
better.
Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
We're talking about a better game, Eric. Okay, and I think, and let me just get this out. It took me a long time to realize Mortal Kombat doesn't bring anything to the table other than fatalities, and I say that because it doesn't have a deep combo system. Mortal Kombat 4, which was the transition from 2D to 3D, was awful. This has been documented. It's a terrible fucking game. The 3D arena ones were not as memorable. There's a reason why they're not remastered. The only games that are good are Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat X, and 11. I won't even put Mortal Kombat 1 in there. Mortal Kombat 1 is also not great. It reset the timeline. It didn't know what it wanted to do with its story. Which, by the way, the story all over the place, not great. If you want to talk about a deep combat system, a game that like is played in like sport tournament, like fighting tournaments, yeah, Street Fighter's on there, but I think Tekken edges it out. I think it's a much better, much well-rounded game. It may not have the iconic characters, but it is an all-around better franchise. That's what I would say. Josh?
Well, hold on. Let me throw
Okay.
one thing in before Josh goes.
Yeah.
'Cause Josh has got a lot to say. I know he
I
does,
know.
and I'm going to let him get to it. I don't know how accurate this is, but when you look at units and the selling of it, Mortal Kombat is number one
I don't disagree.
with like 100 million plus units sold
Don't disagree.
across the franchise. Street Fighter is at 56 plus units sold worldwide, and Tekken's at 61. That's a big gap, dude.
They never said anything about it being
Throwing
popular.
that out there. I know, but I'm just
It's not better,
throwing
though.
that out
Just
there.
not better. Okay, go ahead, Josh.
This is actually a great topic because I've been thinking about this for a very long time. You and I have talked about this for a long time as well. I think
Yeah.
since like Two Bros, you know.
Yep. Yep.
You say Mortal Kombat. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize if I put words in your mouth. But you're saying that the games besides Mortal Kombat 9, X,
And 11.
and what other, and 11, that there is no other Mortal Kombat game
No other good Mortal Kombat game.
or no other good Mortal Kombat game.
Mm-mm.
I think that is absurd. I think that is fucking crazy, and I think you are out of your mind.
Okay.
First off, let's talk about.
I'll give you
Tekken.
Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 if you want to put that in there too, but that's it.
Wait, Josh, did you say you think Mortal Kombat is greater?
I'm not saying anything as of yet.
Oh.
Okay. But I will start, and I will say you that Tekken is not greatness out of the three. Okay. I think it is the weakest. Okay.
No.
And if you're going to state and say that Tekken has just as terrible games
No.
as Mortal Kombat
Nope.
does.
Nope.
Okay?
That is
Yes,
that
it
you're
does.
wrong.
Mortal Kombat.
You are wrong.
Tekken 1 was awful. Tekken 1 is awful.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Tekken
It's fine.
2 was just as bad.
It was better than
Literally,
one.
they took Tekken 1, they by like 0.5%. When literally, if I were to rank Tekken 1 to 5, one being the worst, I'd give it a 1. And what Tekken 2 is what 1.5. Terrible games. You say Tekken 3 is great, still
Yes.
playable to this date.
Yes.
I say I disagree.
I don't know
I think
why.
it's still unplayable.
Unplayable?
I think it's. I
Have you
dude,
played it
there's
recently?
only one playable character. I did with you, and I won.
No, that was Tekken Tag. That was Tekken Tag.
That was Tekken Tag. Actually, you're right. Which is another thing too is Tekken 3 wasn't actually put on the map until Tekken Tag came out.
Bullshit.
Tekken 3's combo system is awful.
No.
It's terrible.
Nope.
It's so slow.
Josh,
It's so crazy.
without the combo system of Tekken 3, Tekken Tag can't exist. You have to go somewhere, right? The combo
So slow.
system.
They elevated they elevated the combo system in Tekken Tag. Okay,
God, man.
they made it better. They're like, oh, we're so close, but we didn't do it right in
Yeah.
Tekken 3. There's only one character that people play in Tekken 3.
I know what you're gonna say. This is Jin.
Eddie Guerrero. No, it's Eddie Guerrero.
Oh, Eddie
Jin wasn't
Guerrero is a
even playable.
WWE character, Josh.
No, not Eddie.
Eddie Goro.
My fault. Eddie Gore.
Come on. Eddie
Thinking
Guerrero,
about that
yes.
frog splash. I was thinking about that frog splash too much. Eddie
You can't
Eddie
even.
Goro
Uh-huh.
was the number one player that everyone played
No.
in that game.
No.
100% of
It's
the time.
Jin.
Also, besides Jin, Akuma,
Akuma.
his father's name,
Hiachi?
not Akuma, Hayachi, excuse me, and
Not his father, by the way.
what? Yeah, that's his grandfather. Who's his father?
Kazuya.
Kazuya. They're the only real memorable characters
Mm-hmm.
in those games, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, they're all forgettable. You may throw in Yoshimitsu.
What about Paul Phoenix? What about
Okay.
Law? What about Horang?
No one can tell the difference between Paul Phoenix, Ken, and Guile. Okay?
My God. Josh, come on.
the characters are so are unmemorable.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And here's the thing too. We're forgetting about the OG Mortal Kombat. Okay, the very first Mortal Kombat game that came out. Okay, it was the first fighting game to put blood in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to Eric's point, it actually added finishing moves, which were so freaking iconic. Okay, Mortal Kombat 2, great. Still think it was good.
Awful.
Better graphics. Okay.
Okay.
And then Mortal Kombat 3 came out, and that combo system was unmatched, untouchable.
Okay, but who was
Okay.
missing in Mortal Kombat 3? Which iconic character was missing?
Johnny Cage?
Yeah, he's one, yeah. And we also got a maskless Sub-Zero, which a lot of people didn't like. They didn't like that version of Sub-Zero. There was no
God, it's the
reptile.
same thing without a mask.
There was no reptile.
So you had Kano, Liu Kang, Cyrax,
I don't
Sector,
Is Kano even in that game?
okay, Nightwolf, right? All
Nightwolf, terrible
memorable
character.
Jade, Oak, right? All these like memorable characters. And to your point, you're not wrong. 4, 5, 4 through 8,
Are bad.
okay, are bad. I agree with you. But don't forget, I think, what was it, like Tekken 5? How bad was that?
It's remembered as one of the greatest ones. It has
Or was it Tekken 6?
Tekken 6 is also pretty good. I think you mean Tekken 4.
Tekken 4. Thank you. Thank you. That's the one where Jin is wearing the hood,
Yeah.
right?
Really good design.
Okay. Really bad. Really bad. And then they also came out with Tekken versus Street Fighter, which was so bad. Well, okay. And to me, I would argue, and I would say 5 and 6 are not memorable.
Are we
Or
forgetting?
5 wasn't memorable.
Are we forgetting Mortal Kombat versus DC? A terrible fucking game too.
That relaunched Mortal Kombat.
No, it did not.
Because
It
what did
almost
they do
killed
after
it.
that?
It almost killed it.
It relaunched it. It was bought out by NetherRealms. Okay, it was brought by Warner Brothers. Okay, and then they gave us actually Mortal Kombat 9 was one of the greatest
Mortal Kombat 9 was
remakes
great.
of all time.
Mortal Kombat was great.
Mm-hmm.
X was
10
even
was
better.
great. 11 was great. You know, and as much as you can hate on Mortal Kombat 1, the graphics, the style, still pretty good. Definitely the weakest out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fact that you didn't mention
Not
combos though is not great.
The combos were great in it. I
Okay.
disagree with that.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. Okay. Street Fighter, out of the 3, is greatness. Okay. Characters are the most
good.
iconic. It's
a
the
good one,
most
yeah.
memorable.
Mm-hmm.
The godfather of fighting games as well. Okay. It came out not just with Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo. It came out in OG NES when you played Ken and Ryu. And then Ryu beats Sagat, who is another iconic character. And Ryu becomes the world champion. And then they brought out 6 Street Fighter 2 games.
Yeah, like
Not 6, but like
10
4.
iterations of the
Like
same game.
No, they were all different to an extent. They had Street Fighter 2 Alpha, Street
Still
Fighter
the
2.
same graphics.
They added Akuma, they added characters, they changed it up. But that also tells you that series was so popular. Street Fighter 2 was so popular that they had to come out with different versions of it to add to the storyline.
Does that make it a better game?
About.
Does that make it a better game, or does that just make it lazy because Capcom can't make a new one? They had to keep reiterating on the second one.
You're going to milk it. You're going to ride the coattails. If people are going to love it, people were talking about it for so long. And it's still memorable to this date. Ryu is the most iconic character. He overshadows Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Jit, so forth. He is such an iconic character. And I will tell you that even the storyline out of the 3 Street Fighter is the most iconic to the point where it had the best Japanese anime movie. One of the greatest. One of the greatest of all time.
Need I restate
So,
my original statement, which is I'm not saying which one was more popular, I'm saying which is a better fighting game. And Tekken is a better fighting game than Street Fighter. Street Fighter is much more influential.
Street Fighter is better.
I'm
The
not.
moves are so iconic. The combos are
There
great.
you go, using the word
And
iconic.
it is the most collabed game with other games as well. Capcom, Street Fighter versus X-Men, so forth.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But then for every, I don't know.
That's how iconic it is. That's how great it is. To the point where they have different versions and mixed they have mixed. They collaborate with other games. You know, Pocket Fighter was amazing. You know,
They also went
Like-
with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I know you brought that up, but
Yeah.
that means Tekken is just as big as Street Fighter, which we can say then that Mortal Kombat isn't, right?
I will actually have to say that Tekken is the weakest out of the three.
Oh my god!
You play Tekken
I feel like
solely
I feel like
because
I feel like I'm
combos
crazy
at the
here.
front end.
I feel like
Yeah,
I'm
it's
crazy.
amazing, right? But no, Mortal Kombat elevated that style of blood or finishing moves to where other
It's all it
games
has.
were forced to do that as well.
It's all, but all it has is blood
And
and
the
gore.
story is better. Nobody to this day understands the story of Tekken.
Yeah, it may be as bad as Mortal Kombat, but it's more enjoyable than Mortal Kombat.
I think the playstyle, to your point, can be more enjoyable, but I think the story and the playstyle in both Street Fighter and Tekken are better. unfortunately.
I think a good exclamation, or not exclamation, sorry, a good period to this before we move on. Mortal Kombat came out with a classic collection. I don't know if you guys know this. I think it came out like in October last year. And includes all of their games except for the 3D fighting ones, which is kind of suspicious. I don't know why they want to put that in there, but regardless, they put like they had like the Game Boy versions of their fucking Mortal Kombat games. Anyways, the point is that game came out at a buggy mess. Okay, it was laggy. It had terrible input. A lot of people said they couldn't play online. It was awful. They released that thing and it was rushed. If that doesn't tell you the state of Mortal Kombat right now, I don't know what will. Meanwhile, Tekken 3, they re-released it on the PlayStation Store. Perfect version of that game.
They did the same thing with Street Fighter, and that was perfect as well. And in my
I'm
opinion,
not arguing that. I'm just saying
better.
Mortal Kombat is awful. It's basement. Tekken is greatness, and it's, I would say, better than Street Fighter.
But here's the thing: Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat are so much better, and the story is better to where they're actually able to make movies. And they did come out with 2 Tekken movies, and they're garbage.
All right. Well,
Garbage.
I wish Eric knew more about Tekken so he could contribute to this conversation, but unfortunately,
Yeah, I can't help you there.
Garbage.
unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but we'll
Garbage.
we'll move on. We'll move on, Josh. I will also.
Also, I don't even know why you like Tekken because I always beat you at that game too.
All right. You know what? Next time, I'm gonna kick your ass, Josh. Okay? I'm gonna kick your ass. I got Tekken 8 loaded up on the PlayStation 5. It's on.
I've never played Tekken 8, and I'll still beat you at that game.
Nope, you won't.
Yeah.
I'll you know what? I'll just save it for the fight. Eric, what do you got? Have you come up with something to stir the pot here?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I'm gonna do like a little 3-leg parlay here with this one.
Bring it on.
Okay. I think Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, our greatness compared to Halloween which is Basement, when you look at the series as a whole, I think they are better than Halloween. I think they are better than Halloween. I think they're all pretty bad, truth be told, but they are better than Halloween. And I say this because,
yeah.
okay, I say this. I think about these movies, these franchises all have 10 movies or so, right? A piece or something like that. And they're all pretty bad. Except I do think that Friday the 13th, Part 1 and 2, I think Nightmare on Elm Street, the second Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, New Nightmare, and then the crossover with Freddy vs. Jason are greatness compared to the entire Halloween franchise. I think Halloween is greatness, but I believe that is it. It's Halloween, and that's it. Because Halloween has tried to reboot, carry on the legacy for far too long. Like they've gone down this road so many times, whether it's Rob Zombie, whether it's Halloween Resurrection, H2O, the more recent Halloween Ends trilogy. I just think that the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street are just more memorable and they're greater. And I think that they lifted their characters on a much more digestible, higher platform than Halloween ever did with Michael Myers. And I know that the characters are iconic, but I just think about when we talk about these movies and these legacies that they leave behind, I just think that they're better. They're better all the way around. I think you can make the argument even a step further to say that the Nightmare on Elm Street is the greatest of the three.
My counter to that, Eric, is then how come there isn't a new Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th movie?
Well, they haven't fucked them up yet.
They haven't even given it a chance to try, though.
Well, they kind of knew they knew what was enough, and you stop. The shit's got to stop at some point. I always say this: this shit's got to stop,
Yeah,
and
you do
sometimes
say
that's
that, yeah.
okay. Sometimes it is okay to just fucking stop because if you keep going and going and going, you just dilute the legacy. You dilute the legacy, and you're finally fucking sick and tired of seeing it. I would love to see some new material from Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th that's more fresh and going to try to start maybe even like reboot, revamp the series because it's been so long. And I think that what they've done in the past is it's stood the test of time so much better, so much better. Like you had a crossover movie that, yeah, it wasn't great, but it was pretty good. They did a pretty good job at using the two very well-known horror villains, bring them together to give you a pretty good cult classic where they beat the shit out of each other, and it's kind of left for interpretation of who won, did they win, was there a winner, are we going to get more? And we never did. And to your point, you're like, well, why didn't they ever make another one? Well, because I think that Halloween, for whatever reason, is leaning on the title Halloween. They're leaning into the title. They're leaning into the Michael Myers and the title to the point where we get Michael Myers getting beat up by a teenage kid in a sewer. And they're somehow like transferring over power.
I don't know, man. I feel like
right?
that is Halloween, though. It's Michael Myers. I mean, what else are you going to lean on?
Well, you got to stop. It's terrible. You've diluted it. They've ruined it. Like, I can't even take it seriously anymore. Every time I hear the sound of another Halloween movie coming out, I roll my eyes. I roll them like, I don't want to see this shit anymore. I'm done with it.
Is it fair
Pack
to
it
say,
in.
though?
They should gotta stop.
Is it fair to say, though, that, like, with Friday the 13th reboot, they fucked it up so much that they had to stop as well? That's why we haven't seen any
Yes,
new
and
ones?
they did. And thank God they did, because they just left it at one crappy reboot, and that's it. And it was done, and we were done with it. And guess who fucked with that movie, by the way?
Michael Bay?
Oh, that's right, Michael Bay. So he came and he fucked it up. They realized, okay, this shit's got to stop. We got to stop. Okay, but we forget that Wes Craven's New Nightmare was quite good. It's kind of an underrated, not talked about enough horror movie that I actually think was pretty good. Okay, so yeah, I think I am kind of like wanting to see more from those characters, from that franchise, both of them, because I think that they actually did a better job at their movies progressing over the years than Halloween ever did. I think John Carpenter hit it on the head the first time. The first go was great. I think Rob Zombie's first one was okay, but it was like, that was just kind of it. It was just like left as, okay, it was okay. It was not bad. But that was about it. But when you go down the road of Halloween Resurrection, H2O, Halloween, the reboot Halloween, then Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, it's just so fucking bad, dude.
Oh,
Stop
man,
all your fucking head.
it breaks
And I
my
think
heart.
that's kind of where they were. Yeah, well, it's the truth. So I think Halloween is basement, and I think that Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street are greatness, and they are better movies.
Josh, go ahead.
You're saying in comparison, right?
Yeah, like I said, this is a little weird. I was kind of parlaying them together. Okay, and look, Alberto makes a point. He's like, why did they keep making them? I don't know. They just kept making them though. Like you can just keep making shit because you're trying to turn and burn, and you're kind of going for a cash grab at that point. And I think that the Halloween Ends trilogy, they were really trying to like take it seriously, and they just didn't. They ruined it, and it fucked it all up for me. And I think it fucked it up for a lot of people to the point where like I don't want to see this shit. Just shelf it. Like, be done with it for a while. Like, let it be. Let it be. When we try to go too far down the rabbit hole, you've seen it with Ridley Scott and the Alien franchise. You go too far down the fucking rabbit hole, think you're going to create something that people haven't seen. It typically burns out and flames out when you try to get too cute with it. And so, I'm going with Halloween is a basement.
Wow.
It is basement all the way.
This is
Well, my honest opinion, I think they're all basement. But
We're talking about legacy here, legacy franchises, the names, right? I said it; they're not all great, but I do think you've got more. I think Nightmare on Elm Street has better films, probably as a whole, than
Eric.
all of them.
Eric, you have a way of always like stumbling into the topic that we were gonna bring up for the Show Us Your Basement with Edgar, because this is actually the kind of the you're leaning into the topic the conversation we're gonna have had Edgar been on here, which is the better legacy franchise, and you
Wow.
nailed, you kind of stumbled in on it again like you did last time. It's kind of funny because I don't want to.
cat's out the bag.
Man.
I actually agree with you that Halloween is basement. I think it is the worst horror franchise of all time.
Man,
Terrible.
if only Edgar
For
was
one
here.
reason. For one reason, it is the most rebooted franchise,
Right.
and it just kills it. You know, yeah, and you can argue and you can say that Halloween 2, the original, was good. I have a soft spot for it.
It's
I
a carbon copy of the first one.
It is, you know, but there are some elements of it that I do appreciate about it. But after that, it's all downhill. And
All
it's so downhill that they made H2O, which was a remake. And then they led into Rob Zombie's remake. And then they had to remake it again with the trilogy that recently came out as well. I watched and I binged Friday the 13th a while back, a long time ago. And I actually appreciated that series.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
You know,
I mean,
it
like,
has,
you know,
it has
they're all low
things in
budget.
it. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I do agree. I think Nightmare on Elm Street is the strongest out of the three.
He's the strongest
Okay.
one, dude.
The first one's great. Second one was good. Dream Warriors was so freaking iconic. The sequel after that, I forget what's that? Still with the Dream Warriors. I think that was the weakest. You know, when they try to explore Freddy Krueger's origin and all that stuff. But Wes Craven came back and he did a new Nightmare.
Yeah, it was good.
And that was amazing. That put Freddy Krueger back on the map. So
Well, the
I don't
crossover
with Jason was the best crossover, one of the better crossover movies I've seen. It's not great, but it was better. It was like one that worked. I thought it worked.
I would even say, like, going back to Friday the 13th, to your point, Freddy versus Jason, even some of the side Friday the 13th movies were pretty good. I actually thought Jason Goes to Hell was a decent movie.
Yeah, and they built in the Jason part.
Yeah, you know?
Or I mean, I'm sorry, they built in the Nightmare on Elm Street part at the end.
Yeah,
So
they had Freddy
built
Krueger
in.
at the end. They showed the Evil Dead book in it as
Yes.
well, you know? So
They
and
connected
they
it all pretty well.
natural element in it. And then the Friday the 13th when he goes to space, what is that one called?
Jason X, that's you could
Jason
just cut
X?
that one out and say it was never
You
a part of
could,
it.
but they also gave us one of the most iconic Jason looks.
Yeah, they did. They did. In a weird way, they did. It was like the most like
Yep.
you're like, oh yeah, that Jason X. I gotta go watch that one now.
When he becomes a cyborg, he looked pretty badass, you know. But I'm in agreement. I out of the three, Halloween is garbage. It's basement.
Terrible. It's
Terrible.
Man.
Don't forget Halloween 3, although it had its own little kind of like cult feel. It was
I didn't like it.
Right, but
I
I'm just
didn't
saying
like
when you look
Yeah.
back, it's like what a weird
Yeah,
random
why
one
would
to
you do that?
throw in there. It's just weird. And again, you're gonna go here in a second, but you're right. I go back to what you said. Why do they keep rebooting it? Because they were trying to fucking like dig up, like throw the last one into the fucking grave and then do something else because they're like, oh god, we gotta fucking bury this one and make another one, and they just kept doing it and kept doing it. Whereas Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street kind of stopped because they were like, all right, this isn't sticking, so we're just gonna kind of leave it. We're just gonna leave it alone. They recognized that it was becoming a failure, and you just stop. The shit's got to stop.
I'm going to pivot away a little bit from your particular take, Eric. Since the cat's out of the bag, and we're talking about horror franchises and which one's the best, looking here at Wikipedia to see which is the highest grossing horror franchise of all time. You know what's not in there? Nightmare on Elm Street. Friday the 13th is not in there. Halloween is in there. But if we're talking about those three franchises that you brought up, one trumps them all over roughly about $1 billion worldwide at the box office with all the films, and that is the Saw franchise. That actually is the better franchise. It has no reboots, has the same villain played by the same actor, a much more recognizable theme song than, I don't even know if Nightmare on Elm Street has one, or Friday the 13th. More recognizable, I would say, than Halloween. Has more video games than Halloween does, or Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday. Has been featured in more other video games like Dead by Daylight. I mean, it jump-started the career of James Wan and Leigh Whannell. This is the better horror franchise. And Josh, you're shaking your head, but that is the fucking truth.
You see what you just did there, Josh? So what you just did, Albert, and that's fine. You got the Saw take, and that's good. I like Saw. But what you just did there is you pivoted to Saw because you know it's true about Halloween. You know it's true. So what did you do?
Oh.
You're like, well, hold on a second.
Let me just be clear.
I got another mistake about Halloween. Let me talk about this other franchise that didn't have to reboot. And it did make a lot more money.
Let me be clear.
Saw. And it's like, okay, that's great, but I didn't say anything about Saw.
No, that's why I prefaced it by saying I'm pivoting away from your take. But if we're going to stick on your take,
you had to pivot because you had nowhere to go with Halloween.
No, I'm gonna give you some. I'm gonna tell you something, Eric. I agree. Halloween.
There we go.
Halloween is a basement franchise, but Saw is way fucking better. That is my argument.
Okay.
You want
great
to hear?
argument.
You want to hear the truth? Yes, Halloween is not great.
There it is.
It's not
Thank
a great
you.
franchise, but Saw is definitely better.
Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street do have their little like identifiable tunes to it. Like Friday the 13th has that weird little like sound
That's a
that they
jingle.
do.
That's a jingle, Eric.
It's a jingle. It's fine. It's there. It's recognizable. Nightmare on Elm Street has a little jingle too. They do, and it's maybe not quite like Halloween's. I understand. Like maybe that's where Halloween gets the nod, but they have recognizable jingles. And sometimes that's all you need is just a little jingle. You just know it's coming. Like you hear that sound, you're like, "Oh, yep, that's Friday the 13th. Oh, that's Freddy Krueger.
Yep,
He's
and
coming."
look, there's the door because they're not coming back. So,
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna just. You guys are all out of your mind. I'm gonna go back to my statement earlier. I think they're all basement. Okay, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th. They're all basement franchises. Saw is basement as well. Okay,
I agree too.
After Saw
It's
3,
greatness and basement. Sorry.
after Saw 3, everything went downhill for Saw. Okay,
Not at the box office.
yeah, because they were pumping them out like rabbits. Okay, that's what they were doing. Give us another 12 months. We'll have a sequel. They forced them out like freaking rabbits. Okay, and they rebooted it supposedly, kind of like a requel.
Not really.
If we want
More
to
like a soft reboot.
Saw X. Okay,
Saw reboot. Get it?
So
Soft with the. Okay.
it also has Saw 6.
Oh, okay. Here we
6 and
go.
after,
Here we go with Saw
which
6.
is one of the worst movies ever.
Worse than Jason X?
Ever. I would rather watch Jason X than Saw
All right,
6.
you want to ruffle some feathers, Josh?
I had more fun watching Jason X. I laughed. Okay, there were moments of like, okay, I see what they're doing here. It's not taking itself serious.
Yeah.
Saw 6 takes itself serious, and they execute it terribly, and the dialogue was awful. I felt like I was watching a straight-to-video movie. This movie made
100%.
billions of dollars.
That's fine.
They spent literally $20 on this movie.
$20? What?
Bad. Yeah, literally.
No,
I feel like
come
they
on,
just
Josh.
they got everything from the dollar store and then they made it into Saw 6. It's a terrible movie.
I'll
okay?
ruffle some feathers here, Josh, and I'll tell you.
No, I'll pull some feathers because I'm
No,
going to tell you.
You know what I want. You know what I want to tell you, and I'm gonna tell you, Eric as well. I prefer Alien versus Predator over Freddy versus Jason. There, I said it. Okay, that is a better versus movie than Freddy versus Jason.
So Saw 6 has a handful of garbage ass movies after Saw 3, and it wasn't actually good until Saw 6. How many movies are there altogether, Alberto?
There's 10.
How many? Yeah, and only 4 of them were good.
That's more than Halloween and Friday, though, and Nightmare.
Yeah. So, well, and I don't disagree. That's why they're all basement. And I would say that Jason, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, they have that reboot in them. They've been done so many times that it's overkill, and it taints the freaking franchise.
It paints.
You know what is greatness? You know what is greatness? You
The
want to talk about
Conjuring.
greatness? You know what is a horror franchise that is greatness? Scream.
Oh fuck!
Is the
No.
It is the most.
This shit's gotta stop, Josh. Like Eric says, this shit's gotta stop.
I don't care. It is the most consistent. Okay.
Most
Each
consistent.
movie is a banger. Okay.
Each movie's
They
a banger.
have not rebooted it. They have it. They haven't rebooted it. Okay.
Yes, they
and
have.
They don't force it.
Yes, they have.
They
It's
don't
called
force
Scream. It's on MTV. That's the reboot.
That's a series. First off, it's a series.
I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know. The series was.
You know, come on.
You don't
Yeah,
want to
they
add
were-
that apart. It's part of the franchise, though.
No, it's not.
And the series wasn't even that bad.
It's actually the first season was actually pretty good.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I would say that. I haven't watched the second season, but I watched Element. I didn't finish the first season, but what I saw, I liked and I appreciated. Okay, but Saw 1 was iconic, one of the greatest horror intro of all time. 2 was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
3 was bad. It was the weakest, but it's still watchable. It's still watchable.
It's watchable.
4, a lot of people hated it, but it was actually pretty good. And it wasn't a reboot. It wasn't a redone, whatever you want to call it, right? And then they redeemed itself and it elevated it in Scream 5 with Jenna Ortega.
And where is she now?
She's at Scream 6, and she's also a pretty popular actress at this point because of that movie as well.
Among other things, Josh, but we won't get into that.
Okay. Scream 6, not a bad movie. Okay.
Terrible movie.
Still great. And they're coming out with Saw 7. And you have to keep in mind, when did
Scream 7.
When did Scream come out? When did
96.
Scream come out? 96. And they're just coming out with Scream 7 just recently. They're not forcing it down your neck.
No, they're not.
They're not
Josh,
popping it out like Saw movies down your throat, forcing billions of dollars.
They are forcing it down your neck every Halloween when they're like pushing their fucking merch.
Well, wait. Scream is so good. Scream is so good that we also have Stab. That's how good it is.
What is?
You have a movie within a movie.
Oh, okay.
Just saying.
All right.
You got Stab too.
So I think you're out of your mind saying that Saw is the greatest franchise of all time.
It's literally facts. It made more money than Scream.
Scream leans into its ridiculousness. Like it leans into it. They lean into it with the continuing the movies with kind of quirky shit, and then the Stab movie within the movie. Like they lean into it. It's almost like they don't take it seriously, but they do, and they're like acknowledging it. Oh well, hey.
I think Alberto drank too much water and he has to take a piss. But here's the thing: Saw made billions and billions of dollars, but they were preparing themselves to actually potentially not make money. So they actually made it cheaper as it progressed.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is...
Repeat everything you just said after I walked out. What did you guys say?
Well, hold on. Well, I'll say this.
Well, you're talking about... Hold on one second. You're talking about how it made billions of dollars, but as it progressed, it got cheaper and cheaper. That tells me that they knew it was so bad, and they were pumping so much of it out, that they had to prepare themselves. That's why, right? And when James Wan and Lee, one L, terrible names. When they left, that franchise died.
Right. Did it though?
Well,
doesn't have a home anymore.
Look, it's funny because I also agree that song's kind of shitty as well. But I fucking love it, dude. I don't give a shit. All right, look, I'll stand on business. I will still say that it's greatness despite it being in the basement. I loved it, okay?
Yeah, how is Spiral?
Spiral was awful. It was a bad movie. Chris Rock should never have been involved in it at all. But
I'm sure it was better than 6.
No, it was not. Take that back, Josh.
I bet it was.
I think I can. If we're on Discord, I think I can kick you out. Actually, it's an option on here. All right, you know what? You guys are just insane. I don't. The facts are right there.
You had to go running for the hills. Like I didn't say anything about Saw. I said nothing about Scream. I didn't say shit about those movies. I stuck to I said a 3-leg parlay, and we ended up talking about 2 other franchises.
Well, you know what?
So you can try to make yourself feel a little better about how bad Halloween is. So the point goes to me here.
Well, we're not keeping score, Eric. This is not.
No, we're not. But I'm keeping it.
But I think we're all in agreement that the Halloween franchise. So sorry, John Carpenter.
So sorry, Edgar. I mean, when he hears this,
sorry, Edgar. Yeah.
He's gonna. I don't know how he's gonna react, but. I mean, look, the cat's out of the bag. Like I told you, Eric stumbled into the conversation we were going to have. That's why I brought up Saw. I don't know how. We need to like come up with some really like obscure, hot takes, Josh, to make sure that Eric, because
He's
it's
still
funny.
gonna find out.
It's funny how
Okay.
like Josh, you said that, oh, we're not mind readers in the chat, but Eric is literally a fucking mind reader. I don't know how he got it. That's crazy, but
No doubt about that. No
that's
doubt
crazy.
about
Well,
I don't know. I promise you, I came up with the shit out of my fucking on a whim.
hey, it made for great podcasting. This was fun. I liked it. I think
that. In his basement.
this is gonna what you say, Josh?
Halloween is basement.
right.
Sorry, Edgar.
Well, I can't speak for Edgar, but listen, this has been a great episode. Thank you guys for listening. Let us know what you thought down in the comment section below. What is your favorite? I don't know, of all these takes. What do you what's your opinion on it? And you can catch us on Poor Man Sports. We'll talk about sports. We need to bring this kind of energy into Poor Man Sports, guys. I think that's what is a takeaway here.
Kind of hard when your team loses.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna do it for Show Us Your Basement, Eric. You know what to do. You know what to say, man.
That's right. Go Birds.
Go Birds.